Hey everyone, Alex LaRosa here. And in today's video, I want to talk about a rule of thumb that I created called the 50-40-20 rule. This rule of thumb has to do with savings and where you should allocate your money. I'm going to talk a little bit about what the rule is. And then I also want to go over a study that I created that compares two individuals that shows the benefit of this rule over someone's lifetime. Before I get into it, I just want to disclose this is not a exact science. This isn't something every single person should be doing because everyone's situation is different. Everyone's goals are different. Everyone's life is different, right? So this is more just to demonstrate the benefits of what I call tax diversification when it comes to your savings. So let's briefly cover what is the 50-40-20 rule. I just mentioned about tax diversification. Many of you are probably aware of, diversifying your investments, different asset classes. I think it's also beneficial to diversify the types of accounts you're in, right? The three accounts being qualified, taxable, and Roth accounts, right? And all three are tax different. You can look at a few of my previous videos to find out exactly what the differences are, the pros and cons. But again, the general rule is based off of what I use, when young people are planning for retirement, it's a lot different than someone who's 10 years away, right? So for someone that's 10 years away, you typically use what's called a retirement needs analysis, right? Where you basically come up with what does it cost to live you in today's dollars and how do we project that over your retirement to find out what the need is. I do think it's a little hard for someone in their 30s, even early 40s, to think about something 20 to 30 years away about what it is they're going to need. So at the very bare minimum, I have my younger clients try to save at least at the minimum 15% of their income every single year, right? So the 50-40-20 rule goes off of that about how that 15% should be allocated in different accounts. And what it is basically 50% of it going into qualified accounts like 401ks, traditional IRAs, 40% going into taxable accounts or brokerage accounts, joint accounts, whatever it is. And then finally that 20% going into Roth IRAs. What it does, I believe, is it extends the life of your assets due to the taxability of it. And I'm going to show you the benefits now by going over a study. I'm going to share my screen. So if you see here, this study that I created, it compares two individuals with the exact same birthday, age, retirement date. They both make $145,000 a year. They are single. They have one child. And they have currently $100,000 in a 401k, and that's it for investments. Their allocation is the same, about 60-40 equities and bonds. Their monthly expenses being about $7,000. So all things being the same, the one difference is, you see here, individual number one, Steve Smith, he's saving all 15% of his savings in his 401k. Where individual number two, John Smith, he will be saving 7.5% or 50% in his 401k, 4.5% or that 40% in his taxable account, and 3% or 20% in his Roth IRA. So I'm going to compare the two over their lifetime. So first we'll look at net worth at retirement, right? So individual number one, Steve Smith, right? The one that saved 100% of his savings in his 401k, he has about $5.5 million at retirement, age 67. Whereas John Smith has about 5.2 million. So first glance, you're going to say, okay, Steve Smith has more assets. Therefore, saving 100% in his 401k was the better plan. However, keep in mind that 100% of Steve's assets are in a pre-tax account, meaning that every dollar taken out will be taxed to Steve as income. Whereas John has an evenly spread across his taxable account, which is taxed at capital gains rate, much more favorable, his 401k, and his Roth IRA, which is actually tax-free in retirement. So now we're going to look at, they both live until age 90. They die on the exact same day. What are the assets at death? And you'll see Steve Smith has about $8.3 million left, whereas John has a little over 10, which makes it almost a $1.7 million difference, which is crazy to think about. And I'll explain why that is on the next slides. The main reason is going to be because of taxability, right? So John Smith, the one who was abiding by the 50-40-20 rule, he paid a little bit higher taxes. His effective tax rate was high throughout the years he was working, right? But as you see in retirement, right, because of the way he's able to draw his money, he's going to be drawing from his taxable account first, right, and pushing off his tax deferred accounts and his tax free accounts until later. So he immediately drops down in retirement to about a 6.5–7% effective tax rate and is able to maintain a pretty low effective tax rate until his RMD age, or his required minimum distribution age. So at age 72, starting this year is actually age 73, you are required to take money out of your 401k every year based off your life expectancy. So that shoots him up into about the 17% effective tax rate, and that gradually increases throughout his life until he then starts dipping into his tax-free money, which again drops him down. Now let's compare that to Steve Smith's tax situation, where you'll see Steve was in a slightly lower effective tax bracket because he was deferring a lot of his income, right? He was making more contributions to his 401k, effectively lowering his taxable income each year he was working. However, when he retires, he drops down, but he's dropping down to about a 16–17% effective tax rate, which is far higher than the previous one of John dropping down to 7%. This is because Steve has to take all of his money out of his 401k, and it is all taxable. Steve never really drops down. It slightly just increases every year as the RMDs get larger and larger, which shows the benefits of having an even spread of your savings across all these accounts. And even more important, right? Remember the caveat that I had in the beginning here, each of them have one child, right? So estate planning wise, John Smith's kid, the one who is saving money evenly in each account, is going to inherit a lot more money and then be able to keep a lot more money that he or she inherits. That is because of the new Secure Act. So for Steve Smith, all of his assets that go to his child, that child will have to take all of that money out within 10 years, and he will owe taxes. He or she will owe taxes on the entire amount over those 10 years at their taxable income rate. Whereas John Smith, his child will inherit a little bit of 401k money, abiding by the same rule. The taxable account, any money that the child inherits, will get a step up in basis, which is very beneficial. And then the Roth IRA is completely tax-free to the child, thus making John's beneficiaries much better off than Steve's. So again, I just wanted to show the benefits of what I call tax diversification, which is spreading your money out, right, over your entire lifetime, thinking about, not just lowering your taxable income in the years you're working, but thinking about retirement and how you can be more flexible in retirement to take the income and stay at a lower effective tax rate, thus extending your assets for a longer period of time and leaving your beneficiaries better off. Again, this is not for everyone. Everyone's situation is different. It all depends on employer matches, your tax rate, your income rate, what your future goals are, children, no children, how long you're going to work. There's a ton of different factors, but I do think there is a sweet spot for every single person to have a good mix of savings in all of these different types of accounts. If you're interested in learning, what that sweet spot might be for you, find my calendar link in any of my social media channels, on the YouTube channel, schedule a call with me. I'd be happy to talk you through it and walk you through the steps about how I can help you. Thank you. Have a great day.